We do not gun people down in the street and praise people for it. We just don't. That's not who we are as a people. You know, take your cue from Rodney Hinton Sr., a man that showed grace. You know, not this vitriol BS.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminally Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your very own, fucking how lucky are you to have your very own personal board-certified criminal defense lawyer here at your disposal on the channel we call Criminally Reacts, so graciously gifted to me by our content genius that you knew as Michael Rivers, God rest his soul. Today we're reacting to Rodney Hinton Jr. and Ryan Hinton. I didn't really know about this case until our staff kind of told me about it, Robert and Nick. So this is a crazy, crazy set of facts. And I'm fresh off the plane from Ireland. I went and saw my sweetheart in Ireland. She was there, and that's why I'm wearing the Kerry green and the Irish cufflinks from Weir's. And so we were in Dublin and hung out for a few days, and now I'm back and start a trial on Monday. It's a RICO trial, so and I'll be talking about that a little bit down the road. But so Rodney Hinton Jr. Let's talk about Ryan Hinton first. This is all over social media and all over the news. So this is a case out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Ryan was an 18-year-old kid, and he is sitting in a stolen car with three other young men who are, you know, just kind of hanging out with guns in a stolen car. Guess what? That's a recipe for fucking disaster. You know, running from the cops is a recipe for disaster. Carrying a gun when you're a prohibited person is a recipe for what? Disaster. So that morning, police officers responded to a report of a stolen vehicle in East Prince Hill, which is just east of downtown Cincinnati. Officers approached the vehicle, and then, you know, if you're going to steal a vehicle, make it fucking worth it. I mean, why not steal, a nice Corvette? Have you seen the new Corvettes? They're nice. They look like a Lamborghini or Rolls Royce, go for the gusto. Not a fucking Kia. A Kia, Jesus Christ. So then they take off, and the officers pursue on foot and reported that Ryan had pointed a handgun, prompting an officer to fire multiple shots. Guess what happens if you point a gun at a cop? They're going to empty their clip into your ass, no matter how old you are. You could be a 6-year-old, and you're going to get shot. He was struck and pronounced dead at the scene, which is just fucking sad. I mean, let me just tell you about the epidemic of young men with guns these days. It's just fucking sad. I had a case, my client just out joyriding with some friends, and he tells everybody, oh, you're gonna fucking die, pop, 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 and he's just shooting it in the air. And he hits a 15-year-old girl. His life is done. Hers is over. If you're an auntie, if you're a mom, if you're a sister, and one of your young fellows is in your orbit, and you see him with a gun, take it and get rid of it. If you're a dad and you see your son with a gun, because guess what they're doing also? There's another case that just got charged out where the parents are now being responsible for the guns that the children have. It's just fucking disaster. All right, that's my rant for today, I guess. Let's see. So 2 pieces of misinformation. Some people on Twitter are claiming that the car wasn't stolen. Well, it was. They're saying it was just behind the payments because of this vehicle was reported stolen. No, it was incorrect. There's limited information, but the reports are that the car was stolen, and the 3 other people that were in the vehicle were arrested and charged with receiving stolen property. According to news reports, Cincinnati police have confirmed that the 3 suspects who are alleged to have taken part in the auto theft, ultimately leading to a fatal shooting of an 18-year-old Ryan Hinton, have been arrested. Police confirmed that Jarrell Austin, 18, and DeAnthony Bullocks, 19, were arrested on Thursday in connection with the car theft. A 3rd suspect, Grigsby, was also confirmed to have 18 years old, was also being taken into custody Saturday morning. Here's the thing. Guess what happens when you're 18? You know everything. You're the smartest guy in every fucking room you walk into. But guess what you don't know? Nothing. You don't know jack. This drives me nuts. These guys should be in college or trade school or working on building. What do I tell you? Every young man out there. And, you know, the women sort of get this figured out, right? We don't see women carjacking people. Not this is a carjacking, but we don't see women running around with guns. I never see that. Why? I think when you have the position where you have to protect your womb because you could get pregnant, you have more of a self-preservation sense. You know, they don't want to hurt themselves. These guys are so fucking stupid. They run with their dicks hanging out and their guns hanging out, and they're just dumb as shit. And it just makes me so, I mean, and not every guy is like this, by the way, but these young guys without guidance or without whatever, what are they doing in a stolen car with guns? Let's just start there. It's like when you have a case, and let's say it's a really bad abuse case, you're starting out in a hole. These guys are starting out in a hole, you know, because they're running around 18 years old with guns. And they're younger than that. So in some of the gang cases, they're like 14, 15, 16. Both Austin and Bullocks are being charged with receiving stolen property and obstructing official business. The receiving stolen property charge is a felony, while obstructing official business is a misdemeanor. This came after the group was alleged to have stolen the Kia that they found parked in Englewood, Kentucky. Now, Englewood, Kentucky, Cincinnati and Kentucky are right next to each other. This led police to later track the car down to the parking lot of an apartment complex in East Price Hill around 10 a.m. on Thursday, where the four men were found to be sitting inside the car. You know, it ain't cool to be carrying guns. I mean, I know you think you're cool when you're walking around, you know, you're always packing, never lacking, right? But it's not cool, because guess who's dead? Ryan's dead. Ryan's dead, and it's a senseless death. It's not like you guys had some great scheme, and you know, all of a sudden now you're worth, if you make it, you know, you got $100,000 sitting there because you stole a cool car. You know, I had another car theft case, really a bad case, a carjacking case. By 9 a.m., my client and several others had stolen like 3 or 4 cars, and then they put all this shit on fucking Snapchat, and they're flexing on these high-end cars that they stole. I mean, it was the dumbest thing ever. Oh, God, I just want to take these young guys and just say, okay, go over here, get an education, do your shit. Fuck. Drives me insane. So they were both booked. Both Austin and Bullocks were booked on Thursday, and then the other guy, Grigsby, he was picked up on Saturday. And then Austin is also facing armed felonious assault in another case. Where are the people that's supposed to care for these young men? It drives me crazy. I'll tell you where they are in a second, where his dad is. On social media, it's often been said that Ryan was unarmed at the time of the shooting. So here's the thing. When everybody's got a little bit of information, you know, people go crazy. Oh, you know, and then the social cybersphere just goes crazy with misinformation. But Ryan did have a gun, according to the police. And that's if we trust the police. I trust but verify. The gun hadn't been fired. It had a loaded extended mag in it. So this is the gun that they found. Is it a 9mm? What is that? Yeah, it's a Glock 23 5.4 caliber. Or 40 caliber. It's a 40, so it's a 40 caliber Glock. Tell me why a teenager needs that. Is it because of the neighborhood and it's so dangerous? You know, blah, blah, blah. Fuck that. You know, I hear that all the time. And some neighborhoods are like that. In fact, I'm trying a RICO case starting Monday where, you know, they took 45 guys off the fucking street. And my guy was just shot 5 times. It's a dangerous world out there. But if you make a habit out of avoiding situations, you don't need a gun because you can just be smarter than that. There is body cam footage. And according to the body cam footage, the cop says, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. He's got a gun on your right. An officer can be heard saying that. Officer fires 4 times, and Hinton was hit twice. Once in the chest and once in the arm. And only 7 seconds of the video was released. So the next morning, you know, I mean, I've lost a son, so I know what it's like to lose a child. And it's not a fucking fun club to be in. You know, anybody that wants to be a member of that club, they can go fuck themselves. Because it's just not a fun club to be in. But Hinton's father, you know, and it's just, sometimes when you're dealing with grief like this, especially when you're dealing with something like this, because it's so avoidable at the hands of the cops. So Ryan's father, along with his family members, arrived at the police station to view the body cam footage. And his father was just so distraught after seeing the footage. So let's watch a little news clip from that.
Here today, a homicide detective shared a new detailed timeline of Rodney Hinton Jr.'s alleged actions before crashing into Deputy Henderson. WCPO 9 News reporter Jay Shakur walks us through it.
Here's what we know right now about Rodney Hinton Jr.'s movements on Friday. A Cincinnati police detective said on May 2nd, shortly after 9:30 that morning, Rodney Hinton Jr., along with family, viewed body camera footage of a Cincinnati police officer shooting and killing his 18-year-old son, Ryan Hinton, the day.
Now take a look at that. He's not coming after the officer. I think there's a problem with this shooting, honestly. He may have a gun, but he's not, doesn't look like he's firing at the officer. It looks like he's trying to get away. And I have a problem when cops shoot you when you're trying to get away.
The day before, police say officers found Ryan and 3 other young men in a stolen Kia. When police arrived, the 4 men ran. Police ran after them.
And officers say Ryan had a gun and it was pointed toward an officer who shot him twice, killing him.
The footage, which is a bit blurry at times, shows the shooting and Ryan falling to the ground. Police then say after reviewing that body cam video shortly after 10:30 a.m., Rodney leaves Cincinnati Police's Criminal Investigation Sections Unit's parking lot. Police say he left this first time upset and unable to drive. Family members describe him as
agitated, to say the least. How would you feel when you're going to watch the death of your child? This is the death of your child. I mean, who wouldn't just go fucking berserk?
Agitated. Witnesses tell police he went to a couple of different locations, then returned to the parking lot around 12:40 p.m. They say Hinton came back to pick up a car left behind, and then for a second time,
he actually left the parking lot, followed by some family members, and then a few minutes later returned to the parking lot at CIS, drove through the parking lot, and then left the parking lot again.
Now, authorities say that final exit occurred at 12:49 p.m. Just 11 minutes later, police say Hinton plowed right into Henderson, who was operating a traffic light at the intersection of Martin Luther King Drive and Burnett Woods. A detective on...
So, why don't you tell me how that helps anybody? Eye for an eye, I suppose. You know, you take one of mine, we're going to take one of yours. And then guess what? I'm sure Rodney's got other kids. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I would suspect he does. How good are you going to be to your kids after going to prison for the rest of your natural life? 0.
On this case claims video footage shows Hinton first stopping in a left turn lane before increasing the car's speed.
The vehicle accelerated quickly directly at where Deputy Henderson was standing.
Cincinnati police have not yet identified that officer who shot and killed Hinton's son. Prosecutors say they believe that Rodney Hinton Jr. just, quote, ran over the first officer he saw.
What do you make of that? I mean, you had the moral high ground. You don't anymore. Because I do think that there's issues with this shooting. So the person that was hit and killed was Deputy Henderson. He worked for the county sheriff's office for 33 years, retired 5 months ago. He was working on special duty that day as a traffic detail at the University of Cincinnati's graduation day. Unbelievable. What the fuck? Honestly. You know, you've got a tragic death of this kid, and now you take one of theirs. I mean, is that the way we're working life now? I mean, honestly. So Rodney went to court, and let's see what the news is about his court appearance. Before we get to that, we're brought to you today by our loyal sponsor, AskALawyer.com. AskALawyer.com is an incredible way to, if you have a case, or you think you might have a case, go to AskALawyer.com. They have lawyers on standby for $49. You can get kind of an analysis on the next steps. Maybe they tell you don't have shit. Maybe or maybe they tell you this is the next step. You've got to go forward. So it's a really good way to get analysis. They also have an AI component to their site. So if you want to do your own legal research, AI can help you with that. For all the 50 states, they've got it trained on that and the federal statutes. So go to AskALawyer.com, same people that brought you eForms and eSign. They've been such a great, loyal sponsor to our channel over the years, and we appreciate them, so show them some love. All right.
That breaking news, the man charged with murdering Hamilton County Sheriff's Deputy Larry Henderson has been denied bail. Thank you for joining us at noon. I'm Megan Mitchell.
And I'm Stephen Albritton. This morning's bond hearing for Rodney Hinton Jr. showed a lot of emotion during and after the court proceedings. We're leading the way with live team coverage. Brian Hamrick breaks down what happened in court. Our Jock Maluka joins us with how emotions ran high during that hearing. And our Todd Dykes has reaction from the sheriff after the hearing. Let's start with Brian Hamrick with that judge's decision. Brian.
Yeah, Stephen, what was an emotional tornado inside the Justice Center here. You have deputies who just lost a friend.
When you kill a cop, you're a special person. You're not going to get any kind of favorable treatment from a jailer. You might in prison, from fellow inmates, they might think you're, but they're going to also probably think you're a dumb shit for doing this, honestly.
Co-worker in the same room with the family of the man who is accused of killing him. Now, just a matter of seconds after Rodney Hinton Jr. entered the courtroom, an outburst. A man came to the front claiming he was Hinton's brother, trying to get his attention. This is what happened.
Have a seat. Have a seat.
Have a seat, sir. Sit down.
Yeah, that's good. Smile and wave for the cameras. See what I tell you, these deputies aren't fucking playing. You want to, when you flee from a cop, their dander gets up. When you shoot at a cop, their dander gets up. When you kill one of theirs, their dander is up.
Yeah, now the outburst goes on. Hinton is escorted out of the courtroom. They finally get things under control, and Hinton returns to the court for this hearing to hold him on no bond. It's a special hearing. It requires evidence to be presented. A prosecution called a Cincinnati police detective who said Hinton had been at the police station to meet with the chief and to see body cam of police from the day before. That body cam showed officers shooting Hinton's son, Ryan Hinton, to death. And it came as they stopped the stolen car after leaving that scene and seeing this video.
So what kind of defense does Rodney have? I suppose you could probably say that heat of passion, I don't know that it's murder one necessarily, because maybe he just saw the cop and spur of the moment, and he had just seen the murder of his son. Does seem like a revenge killing, though.
The detective said Hinton was very emotional. Family didn't even want him to drive home. He didn't, but he came back later to get his car, and then he headed to the area of the UC campus where...
And look at the defiant attitude. Give me a fucking break. That's not going to play well anywhere. It's just tragic all the way around. And I can't say that I wouldn't mow down a cop like that, because I'd probably just go drown in a fucking bottle of scotch or something. I would be beside. I have. You lose a child, it's so fucking disheartening. It's an amputation, honestly. It's, especially if you're close. It's there's that person that used to be there. I used to see my son every fucking Saturday, and we'd talk every single day. And he would come into the office, and, that's not there anymore. I'm sure Rodney, was close with his son. And, and now that person's not there anymore. That muscle memory, that heart memory. But fucking A, you don't mow somebody down to take revenge.
Deputy Larry Henderson was directing traffic for the UC graduation. The detective said Hinton picked out the first officer he saw and accelerated toward him.
Through the intersection, directly at where Deputy Henderson was standing, and struck Deputy Henderson and the metal utility pole on the northeast corner of the intersection.
Okay. Were there any evidence of skid marks?
No, there were no indications at any point that he tried to brake, stop, or otherwise avoid Deputy Henderson.
I think the conduct in question is classic mental illness criminal conduct. It's always intentional, it's bold, it's conspicuous.
I don't know that...
That's a hallmark sign that somebody is not in their right frame of mind, no attempt to deceive, no attempt to hide what they did.
I do agree with this defense lawyer, but it's not a fucking excuse. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that was Clyde Bennett. That is Hinton's attorney. He made no secret that he's going to use mental health as part of his defense in this case.
Mental health is the only defense he's got.
And in the end, he didn't even argue with the idea of not having bond for Hinton. In fact, the only thing he requested was that he gets mental health while he's in the Claremont County Jail. Reporting live, Brian Hamrick, WLWT News.
So that's the first thing I would do is I would get a psychological evaluation and see what I can do about getting some kind of heat of passion, enhanced manslaughter. But you're dealing with a cop. And one of the things that, the prosecutor has as a client, law enforcement, right? So they're prosecuting this case and they're going to have the sheriff in their fucking ear, that's just bullshit. You can't do this. You can't, and so he's going to have that. And it's very tough for that prosecutor to settle this kind of case. So let's take another look at the conduct of the people in court.
Mr. Bennett, at the prior hearing before today.
Have a seat, man. Have a seat. Have a seat. Sit down.
Man,
Okay, knocking on the window is not a good idea.
sit down!
Get your hands off me. I mean, you can't do that. Especially, you look behind you. Look at all these fucking white deputies. I mean, I just wouldn't do that.
He's out of line! Under the color of law! He's out of line! Acting under the color of law! Acting under the color of law!
What a fucking mess. What a mess. So when somebody's in jail and you're going to visit them in court, hopefully you don't get wrapped up, so you go to jail too. I can see about 3 or 4 felonies occurring as we speak. And a shit ton of misdemeanors. Looks like just another Saturday night at my house. There's been a lot of backlash on this case, so let's kind of look at what the social media traffic has been. Facing an aggravated charge, a murder charge for prosecutors say is an intentional attack that killed a retired Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy, Rodney Hinton Jr., appears to tell deputy that he's going to be gone forever, as he was escorted from the court after being denied bond. Let's see what he has to say.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here.
Just tragic. I mean, what's your, you can't help how tragic this is, and he's just not in his right mind, honestly. But that's not an excuse.
I'm Rodney Hinton Sr. I want to give a condolence out to the officers that got killed, my whole family. I'm asking for forgiveness, and I've been praying hard for the officer that killed my grandson. I've been praying hard for him and his family because I know he's hurting off this.
That is the way you do it. This is the grandfather. This is the way you do it. You don't mow somebody fucking down, and all of a sudden you take yourself out of the game. You know, you can no longer be a parent. You can no longer be a husband. You can no longer be a provider.
I've seen in the video about my grandson, I've seen two scared people. I've seen the officer scared, and I've seen my grandson scared. So it's an unfortunate incident that happened. So that's all I seen. It was like, I didn't see the police there trying to kill. No. What I seen was two persons made a mistake. My grandson made a mistake being there, and the officer, he was trying to get back to his family too. So that's what I seen. So it's not about revenge.
That's measured, that's thoughtful, that is caring. You remember when the church, I think it was South Carolina, that guy came in and that little pipsqueak came in and killed all those people? And what was their reaction? Grace. That was, forgiveness. This is a man showing grace. This is a leader here.
Anything, I have nothing against nobody. My Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ, and I represent Him. So, with that said, please, everybody, just try to forgive everybody who done anything to anybody.
Where are voices like this? This is how people should be. Absolutely. As opposed to the social media dumpster fire, there's just so much commentary out there. I don't want to go into a lot of this, but going to support your family member and catching cases is the dumbest shit in the world. No defending the stupid behavior. You won't win. Even if you're right, you won't win. You will lose. I totally agree with that sentiment. And this is from Savvy Sabs. Ryan Hinton's back was turned when he was shot by police. Look at the smoke from the gun. Ryan is not pointing a gun at the officer. That's true from looking at the footage that we saw. All I'm saying is if a cop killed my son, I'm airing out the precinct. We don't need that. We don't need that kind of stuff. Rodney Hinton Sr., the guy we just saw speak, that's what we need, not more of this airing out. And Rodney Hinton Jr. is not a hero. That's it. When you watch body camera footage, Ryan Hinton clearly did not point a gun at the Cincinnati police officer. Those types of I'm white and I say so lies are always used to justify unaliving black youth. And that's why Ryan's father, Rodney Hinton Jr., crashed out after he saw the footage and realized the police lied about what really happened. This is a glaring disparity in how people praise Luigi Mangione compared to how they're talking about Rodney Hinton Jr. Really? No one's that has their head together is praising Rodney Mangione. Who's ultra liberals are praising him. Idiots are praising him. We do not gun people down in the street and praise people for it. We just don't. That's not who we are as a people. Take your cue from Rodney Hinton Sr., a man that showed grace. Not this vitriol BS. Let's see. We'll just do a couple more of these. There was no reason for so many cops to be at Rodney Hinton Jr.'s court appearance. If anything foul befalls Hinton Jr. once in the system, the cops are to blame. Yeah, there's absolutely a reason for them to be there. Look what happened. All right, enough of that. Let's see. So there's a GoFundMe for Ryan Hinton's memorial, and apparently they've raised $64,000. I mean, so what? People want to donate, so what? If the family wants to use that for whatever the fuck they want to use it for, so what? They'll probably use some of it for a defense fund for senior or for junior, and they'll probably use some of it for a funeral, but so what? And it's kind of been asked that there are parallels between this and like the Carmelo Anthony case or the white lady who called the kid the N-word, I mean, did she have a GoFundMe? What an idiot.
It got up to like $600,000 or $700,000.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I want to GoFundMe. What can I do wrong to all of a sudden get a GoFundMe? I mean, give me a fucking break. No, I think this is a set of unfortunate events that is absolutely so fucking sad. I mean, you take 3 people out of the game. You got the deputy taken out of the game. You got Ryan taken out of the game. You got Rodney Jr. taken out of the game. And you got the 3 other young men that were in the fucking car. Guess where they are? Oh, they're in jail or facing jail. I mean, all because what? Because they were in a stolen car with guns. I'm telling you, if you're a mom, if you're an auntie, a grandma, a sister, if you're a dad, a brother, an uncle, you see these young guys, 15, 16, 17, 18 with guns, take it away from them and punch them in the throat. So you don't, I'm kidding, don't really do that. But get their fucking attention. This is serious business. You know, I mean, we need strong black men. I'm just telling you straight up. We need strong black men who have good jobs, education, foresight, a plan to show these young men the way. We absolutely do. So men, fucking, you're up to bat. Don't drop the fucking ball. Ugh. You know, people think I'm anti-gun. Look, I got a gun right here. I'm not anti-gun. I'm anti-young kids with guns killing each other. That's what I'm anti.
Post might ruffle a few feathers, but I'm okay with that. I just hope you are. So are we supposed to just act brand new because now there are people sympathizing, playing victim while Rodney Hinton Jr. rots in a cell for doing dumb shit? Let's be real for a second. Supporting what he did, that's not activism. That's willful ignorance, wrapped in performative outrage. And y'all standing around screaming free him like he just got hit with a bogus charge over a bag of weed. No, he purposely executed someone who wasn't responsible for the death of his son. That's not just stupid, that's a whole new level of brain dead loyalty. You're not standing for justice, you're standing for misguided vengeance that literally made everything worse. And worse yet, you'll be the first one screaming when a cop does do the wrong thing. And I get that part, but yet here people are justifying killing one who didn't. That's not woke, that's wildly hypocritical. It wasn't a setup, it wasn't injustice, it was a conscious grown-ass decision that came with grown-ass consequences. But y'all love to act like consequences are optional if the person shares a high melanin count. And before y'all can even go there with that, melanated is not exclusive to black folks. It's not a racial membership card.
That's true. When we sanction this kind of conduct that Rodney Hinton Jr. did, you know, I will temper it a little bit because he probably just went fucking berserk, honestly. I don't think he was, it seems like a spur of the moment, rash decision, but his actions in court and his defiant attitude in court makes it seem a little more calculated.
It's a biological compound found in every human on the planet. And here's what's wild. The same people standing with him aren't even going to walk into the courthouse, not going to put money on his books, not writing them letters, not going to check in on his family, but you'll sure run your mouth on social media and hashtag for your support. And let's also not forget the part where none of you are going to be his fucking roommate. You're not going to give up your freedom. You're not signing up for that sentence, I bet. You're not going to trade your cozy ass Saturday morning brunches for lockdowns and strip searches. You're not down like that. You're just loud like that. So let's call it for what it is. Hypocrisy dressed up in Sunday's best. You want to stand up for something? Cool. Stand up for smarter choices. Stand up for growth. Stand up for accountability. But don't you dare twist your empty ass words into support when what you're really doing is enabling the next idiot who thinks reckless behavior deserves a fan base instead of a felony. If you're not willing to do the time with him, shut the entire fuck up about it. Stop defending the crime. Because that shit, that ain't justice. It's just noise.
I couldn't agree more. That was the most eloquent thing I've heard in a long, long time. So here's the long and short of it. I mean, does he have a defense? Does Rodney have a defense? I suppose he does. And the defense would be, you know, probably diminished capacities, you know, not necessarily insanity, but some kind of heat of passion. But if you call it revenge, then what is it? Then it's more calculated. It's a more like murder one. And here's the thing about murder one. Murder one is premeditated murder, where you intentionally kill somebody and have a plan to do so. Malice aforethought, that's what it's called. And that can be formed in an instant. You know, when he left that parking lot, he didn't have to have a plan right then and there. When he's sitting there at a red light and sees the cop directing traffic, his desire to kill that officer right then and there is all the premeditation that you need. So it can be formed in an instant. So he's going to look at life without a doubt. Well, aggravated murder is something that they typically do for the death penalty. Interesting. Okay. And this is the death of a cop. So, and I don't know if, I think Ohio does have the death penalty. So if we're generous, this is Robert's thoughts here. If we're and he's one of our editors. If we're generous to say that Ryan Hinton didn't aim a gun and he was shot in the back while running away, then that is bad. Oh, wow, Robert. Good job. And it could have been a good opportunity to rally the community, to have dialogue about police violence. What his father did, however, was put attention on him and his actions. It all became much less sympathetic and a disservice. Couldn't agree more. What are we talking about now? Are we talking about police reform? Are we talking about police misconduct? Are we talking about training? Are we talking about Ryan? No, we're not. We're talking about Rodney and the fucking bad decision that Rodney made to kill somebody else. When you detract from the original mission here, and the mission is justice, right? Rodney really could have had a platform for positive change. But instead, he went fucking berserk and decided to take out a cop. My heart goes out to the family and the two people that you just heard from, that TikTok that we just showed you, and the grandfather. We need more men like that in our community. More men speaking wise. Guys, take those fucking guns away from the children. Honestly, they don't need them. They think they do, and if they're walking around with their pants on the ground, and all that shit, and they're not going to school, do what you got to do to get their attention. I have to confess, I didn't hear about this case until our staff brought it up to me, but this is just not rocket science. So when we look at what Rodney now is facing, I have to confess, I didn't look up whether or not Ohio has the death penalty, and no one's talked about the death penalty in this case yet. Why don't we just find out? So Ohio does have the death penalty, but it's been put on hiatus by the governor until they can find a replacement for the injection. Apparently, there's no death penalty on the table for Rodney at this time. He certainly is looking at life without parole. And what are his defenses? Just mental health defense that he just went berserk. And so you have diminished capacity, heat of passion, that kind of thing. But watch. I had a case once where my client went out he got drunk one morning, and he was stressed out by work and family and all this shit, and he just was depressed. Gets drunk one morning, goes to Walmart, buys a rifle, and goes into a field, and he starts shooting it, and tells his 15-year-old daughter, call the cops because your dad's going to die today. He wanted to die by suicide by cop, right? Why the fuck would you do that? Just go in the field and shoot yourself. That's what you want to do. I don't recommend it, but getting other people involved in your demise is just not nice. And so guess what happened? So she calls the cops. The cops shut down the highway because his house was right on the highway. And he fires 2 shots at a cop. And the cops are inside his barn, kind of like, and then his gun jammed, and they didn't fire back at him. So he was charged with everything under the sun. And I got him probation because it was diminished capacity. You don't think those fucking cops went ape shit because of the sentence that I got him? It was all mental health. It was all, nobody died in that case and nobody was hit. That's the big difference. And the judge was really courageous because he got such a backlash from the police on that. Anyway, so that's our reaction to the Hinton gentlemen, who are now one's in the grave and one's on his way to a long-term stay at the Ohio Hilton Inn. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure you sign up for Patreon. And if you do, and a paid member, you get a free lovely Stop Self-Snitching hat. Sign up do all the stuff that I ask you to do every time. And go to CLR Bruce Rivers. We got some new merch. And so Facebook, subscribe, Twitter, everything. We're out there. Go to askalawyer.com. See you next time on Criminal Lawyer React.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, please, is that my God?